Hey, welcome back to Dan's Chess Lounge, everyone. So in round 5 of the FIDE World Cup, Magnus Carlsen has been put to the test by the young 19-year-old Russian GM Andrey Esipenko. Esipenko has been a thorn in Carlsen's side this whole match. And actually, he's kind of considered like Carlsen's Kryptonite, because he actually beat Carlsen earlier this year in the Tata Steel tournament. So for this match here, it's been pretty even. They both drew their classical games, and they also drew their rapid games. So they're going tit for tat, blow for blow. And then once it got to their 10-minute games, Carlsen was able to strike blood. He was able to wear the youngster down, and he won the first 10-minute game. Then Esipenko answered back, and he won on demand. He beat Carlsen in the second 10-minute game. So then they went to the 5-minute game, the blitz games, and Carlsen was able to win the first of those blitz games. So now here we have the final game where Esipenko needs to win. Carlsen only needs a draw to advance into the next round. So let's see what happens. Esipenko would like to win and force an Armageddon, but let's see how it all transpired over the board. So Esipenko was white, Carlsen was black. Started off with E4, E5, Knight F3, Knight C6, and you have Bishop C4, which is the Italian game. Carlsen replies with Bishop C5. Here we have a Giuoco Piano, which means quiet game. C3, Knight F6, D3, D6, all standard stuff here. Castles, H6 is a good prophylactic move. It stops the knight from jumping into the G5 square and teaming up with the bishop here as well. So that could be kind of tricky when the bishop and knight teams up there in combination. So you have Rook E1, castles, H3, and this is a good move here, a good prophylactic move. And it's very similar to the reason why Black played H6. This stops the bishop and knight combination there from teaming up on the F2 square, or even the bishop coming out to G4 and pinning. So it's another good prophylactic move there. A6, making room for the bishop to retreat. Bishop A7. Now you have your standard knight move in this type of position here. The knight could go to F1 and then reroute to G3. And then ultimately post up on the F5 square. Sometimes it can post up on the H5 square as well. Rook E8, B4. White is expanding on the queen side. Bishop E6. Trade. The bishops come off the board. Queen C2. Queen D7. Now the knight is going in for that maneuver that I mentioned. And you have Bishop E3. The bishop is looking to trade off Black's powerful bishop there on A7. It was aimed right at the white king side, so Esipenko would love to trade that bishop off, and that's exactly what happens. Knight E7, Rook AB1 to put more power and manpower behind his queen side push. Rook D8. Carlsen is looking to push in the center. A5. Now take note of the tension that's going on right now, the tension in the position. We've had the bishops being swapped off the board, but there still hasn't been any pawn captures yet. So that's kind of what the game is revolving around now. Who's going to be better after, the tension is released in the center and the game kind of opens up a bit more. Knight G6. Now you have C4 here. There's a lot of different captures and pawn pushes that can happen here. C6, the tension just stays and mounts even more. Rook E D1. puts the rook on the opposite side of the board, facing off against the queen. Now you have knight f4. It's always great when the knights can jump into the f4 or f5 squares. It just puts so much pressure on the king side. You have knight f5, and so Esipenko does the same. He mirrors the world champ and does the exact same move here. And it's just another example of how close this match has been. You know, they've been fighting, you know, blow for blow and going tit for tat. So it's only right that both of them will sink their knights into f4 and f5, mirror the position. Now you have some asymmetry going on here, g6. Now this is a bold sacrifice that Carlsen is offering. If white accepts, then black will have some room on the H file to maybe mount some type of attack there. And white accepts. He takes on H6, king G7, and the knight goes back. Swapped off the board, and now you have the beautiful H file there that is opened up that Carlsen can do some damage on, maybe. Rook E8. The rook is planning on occupying that open H file. We all know that rooks belong on open files. You have knight H2. So the knight retreated, so Esipenko can kick this knight here and get this knight out the way. Rook H8, and now you have F3. Now you all might be wondering, why didn't he play G3 and kick the knight first, right? But if that would happen, if he played G3 now, then Carlsen can get very tactical. He can play rook captures knight, right? And then he plays queen captures pawn. The other rook is going to swing over to the open file, and that's going to be a very, very tricky mating net that white is not going to get out of. So he saw that. That was good that he saw all of that, and he played F3 instead. Now you have D captures E. It's time for the center to open up, finally. Now you have queen going to E7. Rooks, a pair of rooks come off the board. You have the G3 here hitting the knight, asking the knight to go somewhere else. You have a nice intermezzo here. Queen D4 check. King H1. Now the knight is pinned to the king there. Knight D3. And I would say, if we reassess the position right here, I would say that Carlsen's pawn sacrifice is paying off. He definitely has the initiative here. You know, his piece is moving into his opponent's territory. So I would say that that sacrifice is definitely paying off. Queen E2. Now, queen captures pawn on C4. That restores the material equality. And remember, Carlsen just needs to draw this game to advance into the next round. Esipenko actually has to win this game to keep the match going and force an Armageddon match. So he's going to have to really, really pick it up and turn the tide here if he's going to win this game. Rook D1, Rook D8 to protect, Rook F1, and now you have the pawn on B4 that is unprotected, and Carlsen swaps that off the board there. Another pawn goes down. F4, E takes F, G takes F, and now Carlsen swaps off another pawn there on A5. So now he has, you know, these three passed pawns all on the queen side that is going to run. So let's see what happens here. G5, knight C5, and now you have a really good move here, queen B2 check, right? So how can Carlsen defend this position here? Let's see. Knight G4. So Esipenko is saying, you know, you've taken my pawns, but I have to get something going here. Even if you get more material. Because if you notice, he played knight g4, even though the e4 pawn is hanging here. But he says, you know what? I have to get something going. So if this knight can come into h6 or f6, and with the queen, controlling the long diagonal there, maybe he can get Carlsen in a mating net. And that's what he's going for here. This is kind of like his last chance here. Carlsen plays knight e4, which is a great move because the knight is playing like double roles. It's playing the role of an attacker and a defender. It just captured the pawn on e4 and is threatening to play knight g3, forking the king and rook. It's also playing protector of the f6 square, which is stopping white from doing some real destruction and devastation. So instead he plays knight h6. Well, he can just snuggle up. Carlsen can just snuggle up right under the knight there on h7. That's not a problem at all. Queen h2 looks dangerous, but then rook d2. Rook d2 hits the queen. It's a nice counterattack there. Queen h4. King g7 gets out of the pin there in the discovery. f5 looks very dangerous there. The knight is unprotected. You have queen d5. And then you have f6 check. So it kind of looks like Esipenko may be getting something going here, right? Well, pause the video here and see if you can try to find the best move in this position. This is a critical moment in the game. Okay, I hope you found the best move. If you pause the video, the move that Carlsen played here is knight captures f6 and check. It's a beautiful, beautiful discovered check. And with this move right here, Esipenko resigns because there isn't anything left for him to really do. There's not going to be any way that he can stop checkmate coming on g2 in a couple moves. He can maybe interpose with giving up his rook, but then that's only going to delay matters. He can interpose or interject by giving up his queen, but that's not going to stop the eventual checkmate on g2. So with that, Magnus Carlsen wins his round 5 match against Esipenko. But the kid showed a lot of heart. The kid showed a lot of promise and potential, and that he was able to withstand Carlsen for such a long time and go toe-to-toe. He was able to win some of the games on demand to stay in the match. He was able to draw a bunch of games. So, he accomplished a lot, more than a lot of other people can say that they've did against the world champion. So as far as Carlsen, what's left for him in this tournament, he moves on to round number 6, where he'll be facing off against Etienne Bacrot, the Frenchman. And that's going to be a pretty good knocked down, dragged out fight. Hopefully that's going to be another barn burner, just like this one was. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed the video today. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. See you next time.